Hello, everybody. Welcome to PSM Spotlight. And today we're joined by world-renowned toy reviewer and collector, the ever gracious TM Reviews. How are
Hey,
you, TM Reviews? Or,
good. Thanks for having me on.
or right now, I just found out that your name is Sony.
Yes. Yeah, my name is Sony. You can call me Sony.
Yeah, and
But doing good.
you're based in the U.S., right? In New York.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Like, I would like to start this interview proper, but I would be remiss as a fan not to ask you about your recent uh unboxing. Like it just came out an hour ago. Like guys, if you can, please check it out. It's the unboxing of the MPG Ginrai.
Yeah, I actually have it right here.
You have it right there.
Um,
Awesome.
I have a lot of feelings about this. More
Yeah.
than normal. More than normal. Um,
And, and I guess by the time this interview actually comes out, your review has also come out, right?
yeah,
You've
yeah.
been quick
I'm trying to get it
with
done
these
tonight.
content.
Yeah, yeah. I try to get it out as quick as possible so I people can make a decision about, what they want to do. But does this interview have video too, or just
Yeah, it
audio?
does. It
Oh, okay.
does.
So I can show you this. The first D10, this just I'm just giving you an example. The
Yeah.
first D10 on the legs is is that far out,
Damn,
and
that's a huge
it just
A stance.
it's really wide out, and then there's just very strange things on it. And I wouldn't really question it if this was like a commander class, right? But it's a
It's an MP.
$290 MPG, which is more than double, almost triple the commander class price. I don't know what it is in Philippines. In the US, it's $90 for a commander class.
Like there's the
And
misconception here that when it comes to Asia, since these things are actually made in Asia, it's actually much cheaper for us. But sometimes because of the exchange rate, it's actually
it's
much
more.
more expensive.
So what is it? What's in over there? What does it come out to?
I guess about 250 and
$250 or your
$250.
okay. So yeah, I mean I got it from Amazon, so it was a little bit less if you
Yeah.
pre-ordered it, but US retail, it's $290. I think actually let me check that. I'm pretty sure it's $290, right?
Yeah.
Which is a lot, right? That's pretty expensive for an MP. So, you have a certain expectation. Yeah, it is 290 US retail.
Yeah. And I think
Um,
a lot of the viewers are actually interested in your take on that. But the thing with that figure is the MP line has been going on for more than 20 years now. For some people, they've been waiting on that figure for 20 years to actually be made.
yes.
So do
Yeah.
you think that that would actually satisfy them?
Uh, I think if you love this character, then you'll probably be satisfied. So my channel is called TM Reviews. TM
Yeah,
stands for Transformers Masterpiece.
yeah,
So I started my channel on the basis of this toy line, right? And then it was kind of a play on words, a Transformers Masterpiece. It's a masterpiece
yeah.
of a review, but it's also a Transformers Masterpiece toy. So it's supposed to be, a double entendre. But with the masterpiece line ending and transitioning to MPG and then getting this, I feel sad, because it's just
I was
it's
just
not
about to
MP.
ask, like, the is there any feeling when you did your unboxing that that's the finale of the line?
Yeah, I mean it's a transition, right? I think they're viewing it as a transition from what we knew as masterpiece to what they're calling MPG. So it's not a death, it's a rebirth, I guess, from their perspective. But for
Okay.
me personally, I don't like what it's turning into. Um, I just the size of it is one problem for me. And yeah, but by the time this comes out, my review will already be out, so it won't be a spoiler. But
Yeah, do you think
uh,
that's just a sneaky way of the car actually scaling down the figures by telling everyone it's the
100%, yes, 100%. It's a way of them aligning their their different lines to the same scale. Right? So whether you're buying MBG or whether you're buying Titans or whether you're buying Hasbro mainline or you're buying HasLab, right? Those are
Yeah.
all different brands, but they're all being unified to one thing, one scale. So I think there are people who will be happy with this. Like there are people out there who want all of their stuff to kind of go together.
Yeah.
If you bought Star Saber or Deathsaurus from HasLab, and then you get this guy, they're gonna go perfect.
Mm.
It's gonna be a perfect match.
Yeah.
But I don't want that. I want
It,
Masterpiece, and this is
like
not
looking at
Masterpiece.
the unboxing, like you get taking it out of packaging, it feels more like an MMC figure during the early
If
transition during
I
the chapter year.
I would compare this to HasLab. That's what it feels like. HasLab
It
or
feels
like
like a
a
HasLab.
commander class. Yeah, it feels like that or maybe even a commander class, like a little bit more expensive commander class. That's kind of what it feels like to me. But it doesn't it's too small. It's too small in vehicle mode, it's too small in robot mode. I'm looking at it. So it's
Oh,
just one nice thing though, it is diecast back here.
yeah, we're back
So
to the old ways.
yeah, we rarely get diecast in toys nowadays. So it's a lot. Like this whole section right here, it's diecast.
Like
So that is
particularly
nice.
in terms of diecast, we usually wait for KOs to actually do that.
Right.
That's the sad thing about it. Like that, what was it? That Trailbreaker that they've
Oh
done?
yeah. Yeah, they added it. But I do like that, but at the same time, it's up top and it's on the back and it's not
Oh,
down here. You want the weight down in the feet so
yeah,
that
for stability.
it's balanced. So it's a little bit high up. It doesn't fall down, but it's not well balanced. So you do have to like kind of balance it as you pose it. But yeah, I have mixed feelings. On the one side, like I'm happy they made it.
Yeah, I still can't
It's a
get over the fact of the wide ratchets.
I
There's
just
a lot of
yeah, I mean
haystacks.
there's so many little things that are like, why did they do this? Why did they make that decision? Why is it the size? Why are the detents so wide? Um, I was I just transformed this like literally right before I joined you, transformed the body, and the feet have a single click ratchet,
Damn.
one in, one out. That's it. So if you want to put this out wide or you want to put it in a different position other than this one position, it's either straight or there. That's it. That's all you got.
That's
And
almost
that's a
like not having it.
right. And it's kind of like what we've been getting from Commander class or HasLab. Right. That's really what this feels like. It could have been released as a HasLab product, basically.
Yeah, but
Same price point,
in terms
all of
of
that
product
stuff.
regarding the HasLab stuff, is the car stuff, we have more information regarding the HasLab before it was actually released. For the car stuff, I think the MPs, we don't have that much data before we
Yeah,
actually get it in our hands. So that's the thing, I guess, with that one. You've also reviewed
right.
the KFC one.
That's
Have
true.
you actually bought it?
No, that was sent to me. This one is mine, this
Yeah.
MPG. Um, I do regret it, but I didn't buy the KFC. That was sent to me by Dr. Diecast, friend of mine. And then he also sent the Fans Hobby Power Baser. So I actually have
Yeah,
all three here. I'm gonna
that's still a
compare
good
them all.
piece, by the way. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's still a good figure. Um, they're just different. I mean, they're totally different sizes, different materials. But it is bittersweet for me because my channel is Masterpiece, and then this is
masterpiece.
definitely the end
You're
of
gonna be adding the
Masterpiece.
G now, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what they do. Like they have a Shattered Glass Jetfire coming out, and it's a repaint. And Jetfire is my favorite character in Transformers. I have a lot of Jetfire in my collection, and I'm happy they're making that.
Yeah.
But is that what MPG is? Is it? Are they going to make figures of that size, or are
Yeah,
they
at
just
first I
producing
thought
it?
that MPG line is actually a combiner line for them for their masterpieces.
Yeah, it's not
But
clear.
I
It's not clear what they're doing. That's my take is they haven't really explained it, and then they're doing these repaints, which make it even more confusing. And then they put this out, and this is like
yeah,
does
that
not
that
meet my
one
expectations.
caught everyone out of left field. Like
Yeah.
no one actually expect. We were actually expecting Constructicon set.
right? And I didn't get the MP60, the cab
Yeah.
for the I mean, you can get the toy version if you get MP60. I just
Mm,
got this. That's one of the first MP figures I didn't buy is that MP60.
mm.
So I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with the MPG line after they finish the Jetfire. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see what they do.
yeah, yeah. To continue with us actually saying farewell to the MP line. What do you think actually contributed to their further transition away from the MP line? Do you think third party had something to do with it?
No, I don't think it has anything to do with third party. It has to do with um, revenue, right? So toys are becoming more expensive to make.
Mm,
Uh, that the company itself, Hasbro, had a pretty bad 2 years in a row. And if you don't know, they're transitioning to digital, right? So they're going to
yeah,
gaming basically, and they're moving away, not all completely, but a little bit away from toys, and more towards digital media and video games, stuff like that. So I don't think it has anything to do with third party. I think that's not even in on the radar. It has to do with revenue and profit. And you can make more profit if you produce a smaller figure and sell it for the same price, right? Or a higher price. So I think it's all about, the bottom line and the profit margin. And then making it smaller just makes it easier for them to make more money. That's really, I mean, that's what it is.
yeah. In terms of how their toys are actually purchased now, the current popularity. Do you think them not having any media, although we had Transformers One, but that was more like they marketed that thing to kids, right?
I
That's why
know.
not a lot of adults actually watch it on theaters.
I love that movie, by the way.
Yeah,
I thought it
same
was
here.
great.
It's probably one
It's
of the best media they've actually put out in the past couple of years.
Yeah, yeah,
Do
for
you think
sure.
the lack of Transformers media that are aimed to adult collectors actually cause the dip in their sales when it comes to the consumption of their product?
I don't That's hard to answer. I don't know if the lack of media or just the transition. A lot of kids these days don't buy toys, physical toys. They more into digital toys or video games or just digital media, um, social media, and less
Yeah,
of physical toys. So I think that's probably why they're transitioning. And it's not like, when we grew up, TV shows
yeah.
and cartoons drove
It
sales,
was basically advertising for toys back then.
right? And I think that approach has kind of come to an end. They don't really. So I just got invited to the New York Toy Fair
Yeah,
recently. The New York Toy Fair is not it's not open to the public. It's you had to get a press pass, or you had to be a vendor, selling something. So I was looking through. They have like different programs that you can attend, like a lecture or like a discussion,
yeah.
and a lot of the lectures are about how to use digital media in your
Oh,
marketing. So it's still a toy fair, right? It's a physical toy fair, but a lot of the conversation is about digital, which I found that funny. That's what
yeah.
they're doing.
Would that be a much logical step for them to actually take? Because a lot of the brick and mortar stores are actually going away. Like
Yeah, I mean,
everything is actually consumed online.
well, I think that's why a lot of those discussions at the toy fair are about how to extend your your branding and your marketing and um your digital media to support your product, right? All of the discussion there is about, hey, how do you expand, because you can't just come out with a brand now and have
Yeah,
toys. You got to have digital media that matches with it. Otherwise, doesn't do any good. No one
Yeah,
hears about it.
and if you have enough cash, the actual effective IP to actually run it
Right.
with.
Right. So things like Fortnite, Fortnite has a huge following because it's a video game, but they also make toys and they make, all sort not other than just toys. They have other
Yeah,
kinds of branded material and it sells well because kids play the game. So like Fortnite stuff, you know.
yeah.
So I just found it interesting that, it wasn't about how to make good toys. It was or how to even market toys. It was about how to make digital media. So I
Mm.
think that's just a direction in general. But yeah, it is kind of sad that they're not selling well, so they have to go this route. They have to make it a little bit smaller, make it a little bit cheaper. And I can bet you mainline is going to see the same thing.
Yeah, and if
It's going
we
to
see the
budget
mainline
cut.
experience it, what more with the third party, right?
Well, I think the mainline is going. You're going to see cuts, budget cuts in mainline. Like Studio Series 86 Prime is an amazing mainline figure. They did a great job
Yeah,
on that figure. I don't think you're going to see a lot of that going forward. Hasbro just, they have a new CEO. They have a new, fired like, I don't know, it was like 1,000 people, something big number.
yeah.
And they,
When I saw that Studio 86 figure, I was thinking, that, oh well, it's all downhill from here.
yeah, I thought maybe, maybe they are like back to making really good toys, but I can already tell looking at some of the new stuff that's coming out that they're going to face more and more budget cuts. So it's going to be harder and harder to get stuff. So I don't think it's necessarily has anything to do with third party. Third party is a drop in the bucket, by the way. Their
Yep.
sales, the runs they make are in the thousands. Somewhere between 1,000 and 5,000 per figure. It's not in the tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. Hasbro makes many, many tens of thousands of figures across the world. So, a run of 2,000 figures by some third party company, they don't care.
Oh,
Has no impact on them really.
yeah.
I mean,
In
they're still
terms of
stealing their, IP, but in terms of sales, it's a small drop in the bucket compared to big companies like Hasbro, Mattel, any of the big boys.
yeah, in terms of the Takara stuff, I figured, do you think because we've ended the MP line, like they said they're gonna be ending and transitioning it to the MPG one. Do you think their
Mhm.
decision in regards to the characters they were actually able to put out is also based on the current market and what's actually out right now, and whether they can still actually compete with that?
No, I mean, like I said, I think it's all about money. It has nothing to do with what characters they completed or what characters they have left or what's selling. I think it has to do with how can we make this more affordable for us and make maximize profit. This is a business at the end of the day, right? I
Yep.
mean, I don't blame them. It's a business. They got to make money. They got to stay alive. In order to do that, they can
That's
make
why we
changes.
got all these seekers.
Yeah.
That's why
You know,
Make Toys actually still making them. I'm still surprised they're still making toys.
yeah. Hopefully that highbrow comes out soon.
Yeah, it's been so
It
long.
went through another round of changes. That's why it got
Yeah, I heard
delayed.
that. Like they actually showed it at a con, but all of a sudden they announced that they were actually going to be going back to the drawing board with it.
Yeah. Yeah. They made I know the guy who's working on it, and he said that after they got the sample back, they decided to make a few more changes. But I don't think that's what's holding it back. I think Make Toys just is trying to build capital, enough capital to actually
Yeah, how many
build,
more events exclusive can actually they can actually make
yeah.
that you guys will be buying? Like it
Yeah.
is
Well, that's
available here in the
TF
Philippines.
source. That's TF source. TF source is the one doing that.
Yeah,
But
so I guess this is a part where we start the actual interview proper.
Okay. Yeah, I just happened to have this in my
with
hand and I was
with all
looking at
that
it.
being
So
said, like now you started reviewing Transformers MPs between correct me if I'm wrong, 2014 and 2015, right?
yeah,
What
2015
was
is when I officially started.
like what brought about your decision to start your channel?
So my wife bought MP10
Hmm.
from Toys R Us when we had Toys R Us. We don't have it anymore. And she like had to hunt it down because there was only two in each store,
Yeah,
two MP10s. So she like called around, hunted it down. I told her I was interested in it, but I didn't have much of anything else. I didn't have that much MPs at all. I think I had MP01, and I didn't even know it was a line. I thought it was just, hey, they're making an Optimus Prime.
yeah,
So she found it, she got it, she picked it up, and then I really liked it, and I started getting into that line. But I was late to the game. I didn't join until after the Dotson brothers were already out. They'd already made those, and they already made. No, I'm sorry, they had already made Sideswipe and Red Alert, and then they were just getting started with the Dotson brothers, and then I discovered, oh, there's this whole line in Japan. So my very first video that I put out is actually a video about KO.
yeah. I was
So
just about to ask that. So, what was your decision regarding starting your channel off with a comparison video for KOs?
um, mainly because I was looking for that type of video because I was trying to catch up, and I didn't have those figures yet. I was trying to catch up, and I found out about these KOs, and I was like, well, are they any good? And I was looking on the internet. I couldn't really find videos saying whether they were good or not, and were they comparable to the originals,
Yeah,
and what was the quality like. So I was like, I'm gonna make a video. So that was my very first video, was comparing some KOs. Since then, I haven't really been doing, like, after I think the first or second year. I, I rarely, if someone sends it to me, I'll look at it, but I don't look at KOs that often. Once in a while, and if a friend sent it to me, I'll look at it. But for the most part, I really don't look at that many these days. But back then, that was kind of a thing, was to provide that info
yeah.
for somebody that's going to go buy it, so that they don't end up buying a KO and it's a piece of junk and they just wasted their time.
Yeah,
So
because
that was
back then, just to give a bit of background regarding my collecting history, I
mm,
started collecting back in 2005, 2006, when there was just a classics line. So ever since that point, moving forward, I believe there has been a stigma regarding KOs back then.
mm,
Like that's the reason why I think no one is actually making content for it. And yours was actually one of the unique cases because I've checked, like you said, you're telling the truth. Not a lot of content creators actually done KOs when it comes to the
yeah,
reviews. So that review was actually really sought after. What was your status of life back then? You were married back then, right?
yeah, I was married. I didn't have kids. I have one daughter now, but I mean, it was kind of easy to just shoot a video. I didn't have good equipment. I didn't have a setup. I didn't have like a review station. I didn't
Yeah, for those
have.
that actually wanted to start their own channel, what was your starting gear back then? What was your setup?
mm, I think I had a camcorder. So I didn't even have a
Mm.
camera proper. It was a camcorder. I think that also my wife my wife bought. So that was my very first camera. It was not very good. It wasn't a good camera. Um, and I had I didn't have any editing software. So if you watch my very first first few videos, you'll see that it's just a single take.
Yeah,
There's no cuts. So I didn't film transformations back then. In the early my early YouTube
yeah,
stuff, I don't have any transformations because I don't edit anything. So now I do a lot of editing,
yeah,
and it's easier to put in the transformations. And I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I don't want to put in a transformation that looks like a mess.
yeah.
Like, I want it to be clean and make it clear so that somebody can follow it. So because I wasn't editing, I just wasn't putting in the transformation.
So
And actually, I thought,
that's where you get your practice for the one take stuff, right? Or
yeah,
early
yeah.
days.
I mean, I never put it in. I just cut that part out, and then
Mm.
people started asking for it. They started asking for, hey, can you do the transformation? And now it's actually the opposite. It's like people are expecting they want me to do the transformation because they need help with it. So it went from me not doing it at all to now it's like a critical part of my channel is doing the transformation.
Like controversial takes on your fellow reviewers. Who do you think actually does a good one take transformation?
One take, I mean, M goes the master.
Yeah.
Nobody, I don't think anybody has gotten to his level as far as one take. Paik is probably second to
Mm,
that. Um, Nobody in the business does it live. He's the only person
really hard.
to transform live on camera. Occasionally he does make mistakes, but it's very hard. I mean, I dare anyone to try that. I would never attempt to try to transform live on camera.
Like,
Um,
how soon have you gotten used to actually working on the figure while looking at your camera to see if whether you're focused in frame or if you're
I
too
would say
close?
that took a while, actually. I would say that probably took a couple years. But also had to change my setup so that it was easy to do that. Um, so that the viewfind the screen for my camera was easily
Yeah,
visible. That took a while, but I'm just saying transformation in general, just trying to film it. People don't realize how hard it is to film a
yeah.
transformation, especially some of these more complex third party. And then here's Paik doing it live on camera. So those
We
guys are
can
probably the
actually
best.
forgo it with our review, but it feels like something is missing if it's not there.
Yeah, yeah,
Particularly for a transformer, if it's not, there's no transformation video. It feels like an action figure.
yeah, yeah.
It's
And
just a
and
common
nowadays
action figure.
people are like expecting it,
Yeah,
especially from my channel. Like they're expecting to have, and some of my friends will say they're not even going to attempt to transform it until I make a video because they don't want to, break
yeah.
something
And
or
maybe some
something.
of them are actually living vicariously through your transformations, them not actually planning to
Yeah,
transform.
maybe they maybe they don't. I just most of them do it like once and then they don't after that. I actually do. I will transform things just for fun on usually it's because I'm swapping, like I'm putting something into vehicle and putting the other one into robot, but I actually do transform for fun, which a lot of people find strange that
Yeah,
I transform it.
another hot take from you. Which is the reviewer that's actually entertaining to watch when it comes to transformation?
Entertainment, I would say Bobby Skullface is probably has the most entertaining channel. He just that's just his personality. He's also a friend of mine, but I would say he's pretty entertaining. I mean, it
Like,
depends what you're looking for, but I find it entertaining.
I think I commented on his channel once that watching a Bobby Skullface transformation video is like a Saw victim trying to solve a puzzle.
Yeah, people don't go to him for transformation, right? They go to him
It's still fun
for
to
his
watch. Like
his.
you can place bets on whether something would break. When was the last time it broke? Actually, something.
Yeah, yeah. He's
He is a goat when it comes to actually making these content, right? Like making it, and I admire him there because when I started actually collecting, there wasn't actually a community regarding these stuff. Like the people
yeah,
that I watch
right.
online, it wasn't actually that a tight knit community like what you guys have now. Like you and Pig and T-Man are doing podcasts. I've seen other reviewers actually collaborating with it. Like in a sense, like how soon have you seen the growth in terms of the Transformers community
I
in
guess
your
I'll
career?
say I didn't even know that existed until I went to a TFCon.
Hmm.
And that's where I discovered that there was such a thing. Before that, I was just kind of on my own. I was at in my house filming stuff, putting it on YouTube. And then once that happened, I met other people, met some friends, And then we started getting together outside of, Transformers conventions, right? It wasn't even it wasn't about that anymore. Now it's like, okay, we have a community. Some of my friends from E.R.C group, we're friends, outside of the Transformer stuff,
I see.
and we'll occasionally get together and hang out, whatever. So that part is really important to me because I probably would have quit, honestly,
Mm,
after the first couple of years if I hadn't found that community part and I hadn't found the TFCon. And go to TFCon is kind of a special feeling for me anyway, because it's the one place in the whole world where I'm recognized. There's nowhere else in the world where people recognize who I
you just
am.
found out that you're recognized here in the Philippines. So
Well, if I was walking down the street, I wouldn't be, right? But if I went to a Transformers
yeah.
convention or something, yeah, probably. But we're a drop in the bucket compared to the world. We're not we're not known across the world. But it is nice, it's nice to go and see people that see friends, get together, hang out, and that's the fun part of for me of the Transformers community is doing
Yeah.
that stuff and hanging out. The toys are good. I do like Masterpiece, but if it was just that, I would have quit. I would have been
Oh.
done a long time. So that part is the part that keeps me into it.
Like, who were the toy reviewers that you've watched before starting your own channel? Like, have you drawn any bits of pieces of style or inspiration from any of their content and placed it
Absolutely,
in
yeah,
yours?
yeah, definitely. I'd say the two that I watched the most were Bobby Skullface, and there were things that I pulled from him. I credit him for it because he's the one that started it. And then Paik, there's couple little things that I got from him as well. One is like comparison. So
Yeah.
he's pretty diligent about always showing a comparison, and he happens to use the same car all the time. It's the Blue Streak, right? He always uses Blue Streak. So
Was it?
for a while,
Yeah.
I wanted like, what's my thing going to be? So I picked whatever the Optimus is for that particular
Mm,
line that I'm looking at. I'll bring in Optimus as a comparison. But that was like, I got that from him, the idea for that. And like Bobby had something called Final Thoughts at the end of his
mm.
review. He does a Final Thoughts, which is, hey, here's my opinion, my subjective opinion, what I think of this figure. So I have something now. It's called Final Recommendation, but that's, I took that idea or the concept from him. Oh, versus a comparison video. So I
Yeah.
do comparison videos. Uh, that is modeled after what Bobby calls verses, but he
Mm.
got his from a guy named John Garinger, who used to do
Yeah.
YouTube.
It's a shame he's not doing that much content anymore.
Yeah, yeah, he's not. He actually was not well for a while, but I think he's doing
Yeah,
better
he's
now.
he's among those that I've watched early on, and with him is Pio, and I
Yeah,
don't know if
Pia.
you remember Sean Long.
Yep,
Like
yep, I remember. But yeah, those guys really influenced my channel a lot. And then for filming style, Optibotimus,
mm,
he was the
OG.
first one I saw that had infinite white background, where
That's where that
basically,
came from.
yeah. So
The
that
white
that's why I started with that, because I thought, hey, that looks clean. So there's no distraction. It's just the figure. So it's not exactly the same. He actually lights behind it. I light in front of it, but the idea, the concept of that came from him. And then his channel kind of went a little weird, so I haven't been watching him. But just the idea, the idea came from him. And then T-Man was a random meet. One day, somebody asked me about a video that I hadn't filmed. They
Yeah.
said, "Yeah, you're T-Man 978, right?" I'm like, "No, I didn't make that video." And then I went and looked because they asked me about him. So I went, found his channel and I looked, and then I interviewed him, and then we ended up becoming friends. So it was just kind of a random.
Was it
sequence events.
because of the formatting of your channel name? Like you have both TM capitalized?
I mean, that's
That's
a
why they made
very
that.
loose, connection. The first two letters of the name of our channel are the same, but other than that, we're different people. So, but anyway, because of that, I met him, and we became friends. So that's how I met him. And
Mm,
he's given me tips. One thing that he's helped me with is
yeah,
thumbnails, and like posing for the final picture, because he's really good at posing. Like he just knows how to do it.
yeah,
So he kind of gave me like tips and taught me how to do that a little bit better. So I
yeah.
can pull little things from different places.
Not a lot of people actually know that posing at Transformers figures, particularly for a third party, are different experiences in itself with every figure
Yep.
that you actually handle, right? It's not actually
Yeah.
that easy. You need
Yeah.
you need to be a bit careful. Especially if you own it, you're gonna have to consider the price that you're actually moving, the
Yep.
paint.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, the price doesn't really matter, because the whole purpose of the review is to demonstrate its capability.
Yeah,
So if it can't do something that it should be able to do, then I have to say that. I have to bring that up in the video. So I
yeah,
wouldn't shy away from it just because of the price. But nowadays there's so much stuff coming out, I can't possibly get it all. So I do get some help from friends. But my goal is always to return it to them in the same or better condition than I got it. I never want to break somebody else's
unless the
thing.
toy is actually notoriously breaking on everybody.
Yeah, that's
Would
that's
you
true.
risk it? Would you risk actually reviewing something that's so notorious?
I just did the X Transbots lock that
Oh,
was sent to me. Lock is renowned for breaking. And I was very careful with it. I didn't so it's the one video I didn't do the transformation, because when you transform on camera, the risk goes up,
yeah,
because one, I have to do it 3 or 4 times. So before I film the video, I've already transformed it, back and forth at least once, at least
yeah. It's
once.
one of the rare cases where we had a sequel of the same thing. Like the only one I can actually think of was Ollie, right? And also from X Transbots.
Yeah, they put out a lot of versions of it. I think there's like 6 versions of Ollie. Like they've slowly improved it each time. But yeah,
Like,
that one I did review, and it was somebody else's copy, and I did transform it multiple times to do the review and do the comparison. Um, so I'll take the risk. I mean, I tell the person, hey, this figure is known for breaking, and he was okay with it. He said, yeah, if it breaks, it breaks. I will try to repair it though. If I get it from the Chosen Prime, then
yeah,
I'll put in for the request for the part, and I'll fix it before I send it off to them. Especially if I bought it. If they bought it, I'll either replace it and then keep that one and get them a new one,
yeah.
or make sure that they have the part to fix it. I usually don't leave them in the dust with a broken figure.
Like in the span of your career, like what do you feel are some of the common misconceptions when it comes to toy reviewers?
uh, One that I get often is I get stuff for free. That comes up
Wow.
often.
Yeah.
You know, I had to pay for my own stuff. And that's why it's great to have friends to help send them. I mean, it's they paid for it in that case,
Yep.
but it's not free. It's somebody is kind enough to send me their figure, and it costs money. They have to pay for shipping, and I have to pay for shipping back, and they're risking me potentially breaking or damaging it. So it, I wouldn't call it free, uh, but it's it's a privilege to be able to do that. It's a privilege to be able to look at as many figures as I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I think over this past year, I had 368 videos
Yeah, good
put
God, you were
out.
prolific last year.
So
What do you
that's a
consider
lot of
content?
figures. I'm putting a lot of I'm putting out a lot of content, but it's a lot of figures. I put my hands on a lot of things. So every now and then I'm bound to break something, right?
Yeah,
Because that's just by volume, it's gonna happen.
yeah.
But
Going
yeah,
back to
that's
the
one.
inside. Yeah.
I was gonna say
Oh,
that's one
you have another
misconception
more.
is that I get stuff for free. The only thing I've ever gotten for free is Blockies. It's the first time a company decided to send me stuff for free because
Yeah,
they watched my first. I was buying it myself. I bought the first two waves, and then they liked my videos and they contacted me and said, "Hey, do you want to be a partner?" It's like, sure. I already like your product. I don't feel any way about now. What I don't want to do is review something and I don't like it. That's a bad position to be in because I
yeah,
don't want to try to have. I don't want to have to say something about it and not be able to be honest. Right? I
yeah,
want to be able to be honest with my opinion. So, which is why, I don't have any partnerships with any third party company or, um, any official other than Blockies. And the reason I did it with them is they have no stipulations. They've never said you have to say this or you have to say that, or, you have
yeah.
to,
Especially if you're going to be partnering with a retailer, they might actually make you be inclined to actually help them market that product.
yeah.
So
And I never want to be in a position where I can't say the truth about something
yeah,
that I have. But it just so happens I like what they do. I like what they make. So that worked out for me. And they're actually the company that's gonna bring me to the toy fair, the New York Toy Fair. So that's great. I like that. But other than that, that's the only thing I've gotten free is Blockage. Everything else I've paid for myself, or I've asked a friend if they can send it, or vice versa. They said, hey, do you want to review this because they want to see a review?
yeah.
Which that's humbling too. That they like my review so much they want to send me their figure so that I can look at it. Another one is the money part of it. People think that we make a lot of money on YouTube. I have a full time job that I work,
Yeah.
during the week. I do this between the hours of like 9 and 1 a.m., 9 p.m. and 1 a.m.
Yeah, I was
That's when I
about to
make.
ask how were you able to actually balance your life when it comes to doing content because like I said, you were prolific last year when it comes to that's the reason why I waited 2025 to actually interview you because I noticed
Yeah,
he's been dishing out content left and right for the past weeks now. So does he
yeah.
even have time to do an interview?
Um,
How do you balance it?
so my during the week, work a roughly 9 to 5 job, and then in the evening, I have my daughter, so we either she has activities or we have to make dinner. And by the time we're done with everything, it's usually like 8 or 9 o'clock. It's about 9 o'clock. And that's why I said this interview, nine after 9, because
Yeah.
that's when she goes to sleep and that's when my wife kind of goes to sleep too. So between the hours of like 9 p.m. and 1 a.m., I have to work on this. So that's when I do it.
And we appreciate the time you're spending with us. And moving on to some more inside baseball stuff, like what third party piece opened the floodgates for you to continuously buy third party figures?
Mm.
Please don't tell me Omnigonics.
No, but you will be surprised what the first one was. It's X Transbot's Apollyon.
Ooh,
So
that's a good one.
it's Megatron. It was
Yeah,
their so at the time we didn't have a Megatron. We had
yeah.
MP10 and there was no Megatron. We had MPO something, MPO2, whatever the first Megatron. It was really bad. Like that big one that they made.
Because they
It
don't have
just
a scale back then when it came to
yeah, it
MPs.
was big. It was like a bigger figure. I'm trying to remember what number it was. Was it 5? Yeah, MPO 5 Megatron. It just looked it didn't look great.
It, I,
It was big
from what I
and
remember, it didn't actually function that great either.
yeah, the gun mode looked good, but the robot mode was not great. And so there was no Megatron for a very long time until MP36, which is, years later. So I got that one because I wanted a Megatron.
Yeah.
And if you look, I have like multiple fixed videos for that figure because it had all sorts of problems. Had like the arms wouldn't stay up, and there was things falling off.
The
Um,
early
but
stages
there
of
was
third
no Megatron.
parties are
It
usually
was the
just fixes and hacks of what we
Well, that
want.
was the only choice, right? That was the only choice you had. If you wanted an MP scaled Megatron, that was it. And then I was like, okay, well, now I can supplement what I'm getting from Takara and Hasbro with this third party thing. So that kind of opened the floodgates and say because it was like, okay, I can fit in these characters that I'm not getting by working with third party. Then once I found fans toys, then that kind of changed things too because like, oh, not only do they have it, but it's actually better than the
Yeah.
official product. So then it's like a totally different ball game.
Yeah,
It's
that
not
Quake
even
Wave still holds up to this day.
Yeah, that's a good figure. So that kind of got me in. But I wanted to finish the question you asked about misconceptions.
Yeah.
Um, so I said one is like the money, like it's nothing. It doesn't really have an impact. For tax purposes, I actually, if I put my expenses up against my losses, I'm in the
Yeah.
red. Every year I've been doing this, I'm in the red, like by
Mm.
far. So it's never made money.
Yeah.
So basically I spend more on figures, camera, lighting, whatever, stuff to do the job that doesn't even come close to what YouTube pays. So if you're going to do this, you have to go in with a mindset that unless you have to really enjoy it, like you have
Yeah.
to enjoy making videos, you have to enjoy um, the community aspect of it. If you don't, then don't even start because the money part isn't there. It's not
It's
going to
not a
supplement.
career that you could actually rest your
Right.
laurels on,
It's not
right?
going to be a career. MGO is one of the only people who actually does it as a career. And you can look up his like roughly what he makes, and I wouldn't be able to live on the salary that he makes. Like I wouldn't be able to pay my mortgage. I wouldn't be able to, pay for my daughter's stuff and any trips and travel
Yeah,
that we
people
take. Like
I guess people tend to forget that every reviewer has a different circumstance in life, right? Like if you
yeah,
have a family, like this won't be enough to actually take care of your family. You still have to have a regular 9 to 5.
oh yeah, it's not even close. I would say so. YouTube pays for like one figure a month, maybe one
Mm,
like third party figure. That's about what they pay. So even at the height, like on my best month, maybe it'll pay for two third party figures. And at the rate I'm reviewing and the rate that I'm buying, it's always a lost business, right? Because
yeah.
in order to keep up, in order to have the newest stuff, you kind of had to spend money. So I actually spend more than I make on YouTube. So
So
for me,
everything
it's a
is for the love
supplement,
of it.
right? Yes, it's my hobby. I like it, enjoy it, and then YouTube supplements that hobby. Right? It helps me enjoy it.
Yeah, in
Uh,
terms of the term that for the love of it, like what is a grail figure that you're a bit hesitant to actually get?
I don't think I have any left. I just did an interview with Sixo. Do you know Sixo?
Yeah, I know 6.
Um, I did an interview with him, and it was a full circle thing because when he back in the day he was just doing photography. He didn't have a YouTube channel,
Yeah,
and so I did an interview with him, just talking about his craft. And I suggested to him, I was like, you should do YouTube, and I think you'd really do well, and he did. He
yeah,
did really
you did.
well. So he asked the same question about Grail. Do you have a Grail? And I had one, but a friend helped me acquire it. It was Fans Toys Grinder, the X version, which is like the painted
Mm,
version. You can kind of see it back there.
yeah, that's a
Um,
slippery slope. If you buy one, you're gonna buy the rest.
well, a friend got it for me, so I'll tell you the story. I told him the same story, but Dr. Diecast sent it for review. So, I open it up and, I'm filming it. And then I decided to transform it off camera so I wouldn't do any damage to the paint. And it broke. It broke
Oh,
off camera. And then I was like, I got to call him, tell him I broke it. So I tried to fix it, but I also called him and said, hey, I broke it. He's like, well, no big deal because that's a gift. It's for you. I was like, no way. I couldn't believe he was, but he actually gave it to me. He was planning the whole time because he had two. So he was planning the whole time to give that as a gift. So turned out it was mine. So I fixed it. I kept it. And I was like, well, I have Grinder, so I might as well get the others. So then another friend got me another one of them as he was paying for a figure that I sent him the Raiden MPG
yeah.
Raiden. So to pay for that, he sent me the two more Fans Toys X. So then I was like, well, I have three of them. Might as well finish the collection. So then I found the last two, which were relatively expensive. But now that set is done, and I don't really have. There's not really anything. I looked at that Lewin Metroplex. I,
You
I, I
interested in
had it on.
actually
Well, I had it on
owning
pre-order.
another furniture?
I had it on pre-order, and then I saw the look of it, and it just wasn't for me. I just don't like the look of that video game style
Yeah,
Metroplex. So I'm waiting for like a G1 style. But that
which is
was
the
kind of a grail, was to
Davis.
have like, yeah. Oh, well, Davis never became available. It hasn't been sold.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've actually heard any news regarding it.
Yeah, I mean you can buy a 3D printed version of it, but I'm not gonna do that. For $4,000, you can buy a 3D printed version of the
Yeah,
Metroplex from Like Toys. And I'm not about to do that because a 3D print is gonna crack and break.
yeah.
It's not meant for that kind of weight. It's big,
And,
and it's heavy. So, I wouldn't gamble and roll the dice on a purchase that large.
yeah,
I'd want to
but
like a
at
professional
that
print.
size, it should be paying rent, like right?
Yeah, yeah, that's big. So I would say that's probably a grail. A big Metroplex. I'm hoping
Mm,
Fans Toys still makes the Fort Max that they showed a while back. But that's about it. Like I don't really have any
yeah.
grails left. Like either Fort Max or Metroplex, I guess I would say.
Like for me, my grail would be that I'm hesitant to actually get is actually Fans Toy Zero One, the damn
Oh,
trailer.
the trailer. I will tell. So I did review it, and I will tell
Is
you
that
it's not that great.
yeah, that's why. Just because I
Um,
collect Fans Toys, like
it is like it's a historic piece, right? Because
yeah,
it's their
it's the
first
first
piece.
one.
But as a toy, it is
No,
not
it's
a great toy.
that's
It's
what I get every time I buy a toy that has a trailer in it. I'm basically buying a rectangular plastic.
Do you have a MPO one
An
Optimus?
MPO. No.
Well, that trailer is for MPO one.
Would it fit
So
the FM01 that they're actually going out with? Have
no,
have they
it's
mentioned
a
anything?
over. It's sized for MPO one, which is
That's
a
too.
bigger version of Optimus Prime. So before MP10 came along, or sorry, MPO4,
Yeah.
there was MPO1 didn't come with a trailer. It was just the robot. So fans were like, "Oh, well, we don't have a trailer, so we're gonna make a third party trailer." It was a very early third party piece was that trailer. But I mean, it's not what you've come to expect from fans. It's just a trailer. It doesn't do anything special. And if you don't have MPO1, then there's really no use for it because it's a
It's
big trailer. Like it's sized for that MPO
it's
one.
just gonna be a historical piece on your in your
that's
collection,
that's
right?
really the only reason to own it. If you're like a completionist,
That's
then maybe.
that's why I'm a bit hesitant in actually trying to get it. I saw one. I think it's $1,000. Like
No,
no
I'm
for
telling you
a
right now,
rectangular
it's
piece of
not.
plastic.
It is not worth
No
it.
way.
It's not worth it. Like
Like
if you were saying like a figure, like their Omega Supreme. That I could
Yeah.
see trying to acquire because it's a really cool figure. But the trailer, yeah, and you don't even have MPO1. What are you gonna? It's and they
Honestly,
made him.
when it actually first came out, I didn't actually like the look of it.
Well, so they it's obsolete because when MPO4 came out, it came with the trailer. So then
Mm,
you didn't even need it MPO or FTO1. It's actually not even called FTO1. It's called the Dalian JJ trailer. It doesn't even have a label on it. It doesn't say FT or Fans Toys or anything on the box.
yeah.
You should check my review on that because
Yeah.
I think that will
I'm
make
actually
you be like,
binging your
okay,
previous reviews, but by
oh,
the
you
way,
okay?
like I just got the sense that you were actually one of the rare reviewers who actually scrutinized the packaging.
Yeah. Oh, for that one, yeah. Well, that one in particular, I was like, why is this thing so sought after? It's not
Like,
special. It's historically special, but it's not
yeah,
a special toy. It just is a big box.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't really have any grails left.
Going forward, like, is there any like in your state now and current status of your career as a YouTuber, like, is there any part in your collecting experience that, with the gift of hindsight, you would have done differently or just completely avoided?
Hmm. Um, I mean, you always learn things along the way. You know, I've made mistakes, uh, and most of them have to do with like relationships, not with toys. But um, I probably avoid those mistakes if I could. Looking back, hindsight. Uh, but as far as like collecting, I do like Legends. I think it's pretty cool that you can fit the whole thing on one
Yeah,
shelf. Whereas MP, it does take up a lot of room. It's more expensive. So that might be a consideration, if I was starting over, maybe going the Legends direction. But then it wouldn't be TMReviews, right? Transformers
yeah.
Masterpiece. So I don't know. I'm not sure if I would if I do anything different. Maybe I would I might uh so I rather than buying all of the shelving and lighting and stuff that I needed,
Yeah,
I bought it piecemeal. So a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. I probably should have been like, let me just plan this out right from jump. Like
yeah.
this is the space I'm gonna use, and then build it up, put all the shelves up, and then be done. But I didn't do it that way,
But
so that led to a lot of waste because I'd have to like
back then, it
take.
really is so hard to actually plan your display piece. Like when Toy World Constructor actually came out, all of us had to adjust our display
Yeah,
cases,
yeah, that's
right?
true. That's a good point. But yeah, hindsight is 2020, right? So looking back, I think I probably would have thought about it a little bit more rather than just add a shelf, add a shelf, add a shelf. I would have planned out the whole thing and say, okay, what's the maximum space that I want
Yeah,
to use, and then build it or put it the way I want it. So I'm not just piecemeal because I ended up taking down shelves and having to redo lighting and redo shelving and wiring, and it would have been better if I just did it right from the jump. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd change anything else.
I see. Well, you started. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like you started the E.R.C Facebook group, right?
No, no, I didn't start the ERC. That was
Uh,
started by Sanjay. So
oh,
Sanjay is
Sanjay.
the creator and main owner of Transformers ERC. He asked me to join it
I see.
as kind of a supporter, and he supports my channel a lot. He shares my
Shout
content.
out to Sanjay for starting
Yeah,
E.R.C
yeah,
group.
he's really good. I mean, he curated that group in such a way that it's very different from other groups in Facebook. There's not a lot of drama there.
Yeah,
There's a lot of love of the community and love of
yeah,
Transformers and people making things, customizing things or 3D printing things or making stickers or artwork. People hooking each other up with like whatever, different stuff. So it's a very friendly place. Like you feel like
You
there's
feel the
love
love.
there, you know. And I've been in lots of Transformers Facebook groups, and when E.R.C started, and Sanjay had this vision. He's Dr. Diecast, by the way. So
Yeah.
I say Dr. Diecast, but his name is Sanjay. Um,
I saw him in one of your videos, by the way. So
oh, okay,
uh,
yeah. So you've seen it. So he had this vision of, let's create this group where it has this vibe where everybody's welcome, and truly we have everybody in that group. I
yeah,
mean, like, all countries, all ages, races, sexual orientation, you know, beliefs, political beliefs,
yeah,
everything. It's a huge mix of people, and that's what we want. We want people to feel. We have someone in there that has autism. Like, everybody feels welcome in that group. Uh, there's no judging of people. There's judging of toys, but there's no judging of people.
yeah. Of
And that's
course.
what makes that place different than other groups. Because sometimes you'll go somewhere and you'll feel judged. And we never want somebody to feel judged, right? We talk about toys, and that's fine, but it should never get personal where somebody feels like, oh, I'm not welcome here, or I can't,
Yeah, and it's good that you
yeah.
mentioned that. Like, just to piggyback on your answer, like, have you noticed like interacting with different collectors and fans from across the globe via that group? Have you noticed differences when it comes to taste or collecting habits with every country's collectors community?
Um, I think access is a big difference. I don't know if the
Mm,
the collecting habits are, but the access appears to be different. Um, Price point and access are widely different. My friend just moved to Japan, so he lived here. He lived in the U.S. in Arizona, and then he just moved to Japan for like a long term. He's going to be there for a while. And I actually thought Japan, it was hard to get stuff, but he actually gets stuff cheaper
yeah,
and quicker in some cases than what we get here, and vice versa. That I know people who live in, let's say, Canada, or actually the worst one is South America. South America has no access to anything. It's like nobody wants to ship to, I don't know why, but um, very few retailers will ship to South America. I worked with this guy from Peru. He's a 3D printer,
yeah.
and it's very hard to get things shipped in. You have to pay a big premium to get things shipped in, like MP44. It just costs a lot to get it, anybody retail to ship to you.
And
So I have
MP44
noticed,
already costs a liver, right?
yeah, and
So
it's already expensive, right? So I have noticed that. But as far as like the love of Transformers and the sense of community, that seems to be universal.
mm,
I think that seems to be the same, which is why it works. That's why the group works, because that part is always the same. What's different is, what toys do you buy, what access do you have, or how much does it cost, or what part of life, uh, what's the word for it? Disposable income. What
yeah,
what part of life do you have for disposable income? Some countries, there's not really that much disposable income. So it depends. It's all different. But the same thing is the sense of community. I think that is universal.
yeah. And we're right at the tail end now. Like, what would be your best advice for people who want to start their own review channel or just collecting Transformers action figures or action figures in
Mm.
general?
Earlier you asked what's one thing I do differently. Is I'm kind of pigeonholed into Transformers. Anytime I do a review of something different, it doesn't do well. It doesn't perform well, and also I'm not only pigeoned into Transformers, but Transformers Masterpiece scale and third party.
I see.
So that's pretty narrow. Yeah, it's a very narrow.
Was it because of your branding, by the way?
I mean, no, that was just my interest, but
Mm,
that's a narrow genre to take on in YouTube. And if you want to do it longer term, um, my suggestion is don't make it about a product. Make it about something that you love. Because if you love it, if you have a passion for something, whatever that is, you have a passion for it, then it won't matter what it is because people will see the passion and enjoy it. So don't make it about a product. Don't make it about making money. Make it about sharing your passion if you're going to start a channel. But I would also recommend don't start a channel because there's a lot
that's
involved with
with the
it.
benefit of years of actually going through the grind, right?
Yeah, it's just a lot of work, and I definitely thought by now I'd be further than I am, given the amount of work I put in. The last 2 years, I kind of did an experiment. So I wanted to see what would happen if I put out a video every single day, every single weekday. So 5 videos a day, which is a lot. And it did help my channel grow. It did work,
Yeah,
but it's just so much work. You know, the return on investment isn't there for the level of work that it requires.
yeah.
And that's why I said, there has to be the passion piece to it. Otherwise, you'll just burn out and you
And the
won't enjoy it
algorithm on
anymore.
YouTube is actually really going against you because
Yes.
how many videos does Jobby actually put out in a month?
Yeah, like once a month. Yeah.
Once a
not
month.
not much. And so that's what I mean. Like if you have a passion for making that kind of content or being an entertainer, or maybe you have a podcast where you have some kind of dialogue, or you have something that makes you unique, and not just about the toys but just something, then I think you might have some success. But otherwise it's really hard in this space. During the
Yeah,
at the beginning of the pandemic, thousands of YouTubers started,
yeah,
in 2020 and 2021. So this space got really full. There's lots and lots of YouTube reviewers doing Transformers. So I'd almost say don't do it unless there's something specific that sets you apart, makes you unique, and that you're passionate about. And if you can't find that thing, and if you're just doing it
yeah.
because you like the idea of having it. I have nephews, they're all around like 10 to 12 years old,
Yep.
or some of them are 14. But like they're fascinated with the YouTube part of it,
Yeah.
but they don't care that it's about Transformers. They're not really interested in that. They're just interested and are fascinated with the idea of having a YouTube channel,
Mm,
right? The idea of being a influencer, a social media person.
that's nice to
And
actually hear because I think YouTube actually started with that in mind,
right.
right?
I'm saying I think it's a mistake. If you're getting into this because you just want to be an influencer, you want to be a social media person, it's going to be very hard. Very few people actually have success with this. And I'm telling you this because kids don't have that perspective, right? They're young.
Yeah.
They think that this could be a career type of thing. And I'm grinding and it's nowhere close to being a career. It's not even close. I, I
Yeah,
could
like
I could never replace my regular job with this. So if that's the reason you're getting into it, to make it a career, to make it become an influencer, then you're headed the wrong way. That's
mm,
not the thing to do. But if it's a passion, you're passionate about the hobby, you enjoy it, or there's something niche about what you're doing, like something unique, then I think that might work.
I see. That's awesome. And finally, any message you'd like to say to the Filipino collector community that have been avid watchers of your channel over the years?
Yeah, well, I didn't even know that until you told me that. So we get analytics for our channels, and you can see who's watching, and where they're from, like what countries specifically, what countries, whether they're male or female, what age bracket they're in. And when I look at my audience, I'll just look at it right now and tell you. So geographics. So for all my channel, just overall, obviously United States is the top.
Yeah.
That's about 50. It counts for about 50%. Then every other country after that is kind of in the somewhere between 5 to 1% range.
Yeah.
So they're all relatively small compared to each other. Philippines is on there, but it's not like second or third. It's United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Philippines, Malaysia, Australia, Japan, Singapore. But everything below United Kingdom is less than 3%.
Yeah,
So
because I think the
it's hard.
collectors community here in the Philippines just recently grew over the
Oh, is it?
pandemic because a lot of people
What?
are actually
Oh,
stuck in their houses and actually just
okay.
online shopping, trying to find a
Okay.
hobby to pass the time.
Well, it's great to know that you guys have a community out there. Is there anything like conventions,
Yeah,
stuff
we
like
have
that?
conventions here, but
What's it
in
called?
a sense, like when I talked about the community stuff with you, like most of the community stuff here in the Philippines is just buying. Not a
Okay.
lot of discussions regarding the culture, where this all
Okay.
came from, what actually drove us to this hobby. Not a lot of that. So I hope this interview would actually open the floodgates to it.
Yeah. I recently saw a group. It was a Blockies Philippines
Yeah.
group that there's no US groups. There was only a Philippines group. So that's why I noticed it. But
Yellow Park has been picking up steam here.
is
Maybe
okay.
because of the accessibility and the price,
Probably the same thing for Blockies, right?
right?
Accessibility and pricing. That's
Yeah.
pretty
In
well.
terms of storage
So yeah, so
space.
I appreciate you telling me because I didn't know that there was any following in the Philippines, or what's where do people share things? Like what's the social media
Uh
scene look like?
yeah, the shout out to people in 3P West, the Facebook group, like Transformers Masterpiece Collectors.
So
Like
Facebook
usually
group is
people,
like the
yeah,
place where people
where
from the
yeah, where
Philippines get
people
together.
gather and sometimes conventions in malls. Like we get a convention at least once every quarter. But
So
but like I said,
what is it
but like
like?
I said,
What's it
usually conventions here are just for the retailers to actually sell their goods.
okay, okay.
So
So it's like they bring lots of retailers under one roof, and then you can go
yeah.
through. And I mean,
In
you do
terms of
have that at our conventions too, but there's other aspects
you
to it.
have panels, right?
They have panels, they have
Content creators.
meetups, they have discussions, they have third party what do you call it, displays.
Yeah.
They have like things on display. So there's a lot of other aspects, but that's interesting. I didn't know that it was
Yeah,
done in
hopefully
malls.
we get to that point here in the Philippines. I've seen the community actually grow because, like I said, it started back in 2005 when this is
Okay.
virtually just us buying toys, nothing
Yeah.
more and nothing less. And when you want to get things that are actually much more on the collectible side, you have
Hmm.
to head over to Japan and order from there, like all the Takara stuff. Like
Yeah.
the line that I started with was actually 2007 movie and the animated ones and
So
the
is it
chugs
okay? Is it more
and
expensive to order it from there?
the on the retail on toy stores. Uh, usually the Hasbro stuffs are on toy stores here, but the Takara stuff,
Okay.
it's barely visible. You'd have to
Yeah.
know someone from outside the country. So
Oh,
that was
okay.
another hindrance back then.
Yeah.
But the premium
Even
stuff
now?
are uh even now.
Hmm.
There's this misconception also. Like I would add to that we being part of Asia actually get the product from China much faster.
But you
But
don't.
I'm kind of surprised you get it. You guys there in the West actually get it much quicker than we do.
Well, that's probably has to do with money, right? Somebody's willing to pay
The
the
front
price
loading
to,
stuff.
yeah, to import it, so they're willing to ship it. I'm sure
Just because
that's
it's
what it is.
built
But
here.
this year, all of that might change because they're
Yeah.
looking at implementing tariffs on China, like big
Mm.
tariffs, to the point where like the goods might not even be affordable, right? The tariff might be so high that you can't even afford the goods anymore. So we'll see what happens. It's been a threat. It's not actually implemented yet, but that might change the game.
Yeah.
We'll
Well,
see.
well, Sony, it's been a pleasure to actually do this interview with you. I've been planning this for so long, and thank you for actually giving us a chance at
Yeah, it
Papers
was
Pro
great to meet
Meet.
you.
Yeah. And by the way, people check out his content on TMReviews on YouTube and check out the discussions in the E.R.C Facebook group. Oh, with that being said, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, both on my channel and on his channel. Please show us some love. And yeah, Sony, belated Happy New Year and hope this
Yeah,
New
happy New
Year
Year.
is actually merciful for all of us in terms of our ventures. Like, I hope we all hope to have you again for another interview if given a
Yeah, awesome.
chance.
No, it was great. It was fun. Thank you.
So that being said, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you guys in the next.
See you next time.